Imagine living in a world where doing something good can actually get you canceled. Not because you did anything wrong, but because someone, somewhere, decided to turn it into a problem. Sounds insane, right? But this is the internet today, a place where outrage spreads faster than facts and where sometimes the controversy makes less sense than the content itself. Over the past few years, cancel culture has gone from holding people accountable to creating outrage out of thin air. Someone posts a clip, someone else takes it out of context, and before you know it, thousands of people are forming opinions without even understanding what actually happened. And the scary part is, this cycle repeats over and over again. One of the most common ways this happens is by digging up old content. Videos, jokes, or moments from years ago suddenly resurface as if they just happened yesterday. Back then, the internet had a very different culture. Humor was more absurd, more random, and often intentionally ridiculous. People weren't trying to make deep statements, they were just trying to make people laugh. But fast forward a few years and everything changes. The same joke that once made people laugh is now being analyzed like a serious issue. Context disappears, timelines are ignored, and suddenly, something harmless becomes a problem. It's like judging the past with the rules of the present without any understanding of how things were back then. And then there's another type of criticism that shows up again and again, the "why didn't you donate the money instead" argument. Every time a creator spends a large amount of money on a video, whether it's for a challenge, a giveaway, or a massive production, someone always says the same thing: you should have just given that money to charity. At first, it sounds reasonable, right? But if you actually think about it for more than a few seconds, the logic completely falls apart. Because if that's the standard, then every single thing we spend money on becomes questionable. You bought a new phone, why not donate instead? You went out to dinner, why not donate instead? You upgraded your setup, why not donate instead? It becomes an endless loop where no amount of spending is ever acceptable, no matter how small or large it is. And that kind of thinking doesn't solve problems, it just creates more negativity. What most people fail to understand is that content is not just an expense, it's often an investment. A well-made video can generate revenue, reach millions of people, and create opportunities that go beyond that one moment. Instead of helping a small number of people once, it can create a long-term impact that helps many more over time. But that bigger picture is often ignored, especially by people who are more interested in criticizing than understanding. And then we have another layer of this problem: creators who build their entire presence around calling out others. Their strategy is simple: find someone popular, say something controversial about them, and wait for the reaction. It doesn't matter if the argument is strong or weak, it doesn't matter if it's fair or completely unreasonable, the only thing that matters is attention. They'll question everything: what you're doing, what you're eating, how you're spending money, why you're doing it that way instead of another way. Even if there's no real issue to begin with, they'll find a way to turn it into one. And the irony is, the people who are the loudest when it comes to criticism are often the ones contributing the least. It's much easier to point fingers than it is to actually create something meaningful. So why do most of these cancellation attempts fail? The answer is actually very simple. People are not as easily fooled as some might think. They can tell the difference between genuine problems and forced outrage. When someone is consistently creating value, helping others, and making a positive impact, it becomes incredibly difficult to bring them down with weak arguments. In fact, many of these attempts end up backfiring. Instead of damaging someone's reputation, they bring more attention to them. More people discover their content, more people support them, and the person who tried to cancel them ends up achieving the exact opposite of what they intended. At the end of the day, the internet will always have critics. Some criticism is important. It helps people grow, improve, and stay accountable. But not all criticism is equal. Some of it is thoughtful and necessary, and some of it is just noise. And maybe that's the real lesson here. Before jumping into the next wave of outrage, before sharing that clip or leaving that comment, take a second and ask yourself, does this actually make sense? Or am I just reacting because everyone else is? Because in a world full of noise, the ability to think clearly might just be the most valuable skill of all.